The weekly Podioplex will begin after this short podcasting promotional.
Welcome to the interwebs, home of everything. Would you like to try the new Fruity Oaty Slusho?
What do you want?
A podcast?
What kind of podcast?
Give me one with affable hosts talking about geeky things they do.
I want one with geek-related news.
Anything else?
Let me see. How about a podcast with sometimes interesting topics or celebrity interviews?
Yeah, let me have the one with the fitness tips, the one that talks about audiobooks, maybe the one that talks about upcoming cons.
If you want all of that, why not get a combo?
You have something that has all of that?
I wouldn't offer it if we didn't.
Is that possible?
Is that legal?
You want this weekly from GeekRadioDaily.com.
What's that?
A running gag.
So what is this weekly?
It's the sometimes weekly podcast with stealth geeks who talk about their week, geek news, and it features looks at audiobooks, Fit Club, and con updates.
I don't know.
One of the hosts is a woman.
Oh, really?
With a sexy voice.
So, Geek Radio Daily has forums for geek talks, an active Facebook and Twitter page, and the award non-winning, sometimes weekly podcast. All this and more at GeekRadioDaily.com.
This is Michael Falkner, and it's showtime, the January 17th, 2012 edition of the Weekly Podioplex, brought to you by the Chronic Rift. Let's kick things off with the box office report, starting with number 10 and The Iron Lady, up from 26th as the film enters wide release. In 9th place is Warhorse, down 3 from 6th. At number 8 is Alvin and the Chipmunks, Shipwrecked, down 3 from 5th. In 7th place is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, down 3 from 4th. And at 6th, we have last week's winner, The Devil Inside, dropping 5 spots in its second week. In 5th place is Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, moving down 2 from 3rd with a weekend box office take of $8.6 million and a new total of $170 million. At 4th place is new release Joyful Noise with an opening act of $11.3 million. For Queen Latifah's films, this one is down from last holiday at $12.8 million, but up from their other recent roles in Just Right at $8.3 million and Mad Money at $7.7 million. In music movies, it beat out Country Strong's $7.3 million premiere last January. In 3rd place is last week's runner-up, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, cashing in another $11.7 million for a total of $186.9 million. That's $5 million over the first movie's total, and a good amount of the way toward the $215.4 million of Mission Impossible 2. In 2nd is new release Beauty and the Beast from 1991, gaining $17.7 million in opening weekend. That's less than The Lion King's $30.2 million, but it definitely beat out the Toy Story 2 double feature at $12.5 million. In 1st place this week is new release Contraband, debuting with $24.5 million. That's a 7th place start for Mark Wahlberg's movies. It beat out other January action films as well, including Edge of Darkness with $17.2 million and Smokin' Aces at $14.6 million, and it was even close to matching Taken's $24.7 million take. Closing out the box office report, let's take a look at what was winning in the box office in years gone by. 5 years ago in 2007, Stomp the Yard was the winner at $12.3 million. 10 years ago in 2002, Black Hawk Down won at $28.6 million, breaking Say the Last Dance's record for $23.4 million on the highest Martin Luther King weekend debut. 20 years ago, in 1992, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle was still scaring moviegoers at $11.8 million. 30 years ago, in 1982, On Golden Pond took $3.9 million, reaching number 1 after 8 weeks in release. And 40 years ago, The Cowboys was big in 1972 with $3.7 million. The week of January 20th has a few chances to take the number 1 spot from Contraband, starting with Underworld Awakening, a fantasy film starring Kate Beckinsale, Michael Ealy, and India Isley.
It's not a human being. It's a blight of nature.
I was held captive for 12 years.
Subject to escape. It's somewhere in the building.
Now, humans hunt the lichens and vampires. This is a new war.
I used to hear stories of the Death Eaters, that they were a thing of the past, never to return.
I don't recognize this world.
We've lived safely for years, and now you've brought humans into this covenant.
We stand and we fight.
Something else escaped.
Whatever it is, it's more powerful than any of us.
Where's Michael?
When human forces discover the existence of the vampire and lichen clans, a war to eradicate both species commences. The vampire warrior Selene leads the battle against humankind. Underworld Awakening is currently not rated. Next on our list is Haywire, an action thriller starring Gina Carano, Ewan McGregor, and Michael Fassbender. A Black Ops super soldier seeks payback after she's betrayed and set up during a mission. Haywire is rated R. Next is Coriolanus, a drama thriller starring Ralph Fiennes, Gerard Butler, and Brian Cox.
My name is Caius Marcius Coriolanus.
If ever again I meet him, he's mine, or I am his.
To our noble consul, Coriolanus.
Heavens bless my lord and husband.
You are a traitor to the people.
Right. For me, traitor.
Marcius is worthy of death!
I will fight against my country.
And then men die.
You are not my son.
Coriolanus has grown from man to dragon.
Make you a sword of me!
Sweet as my revenge.
A banished hero of Rome allies with a sworn enemy to take his revenge on the city. Coriolanus is rated R. And last on the wide release slate is Red Tails, an action drama starring Nate Parker, David Oyelowo, and Nae Yo.
Bandits! Hundreds of them! 6 o'clock!
It's got German markings.
Let's get them! Where are the damn fighters going? Is there anything left of our escort? Mayday! Mayday! Prepare to bail out!
Our boys are getting cut to shreds.
I need pilots who will put the bombers ahead of themselves.
When we came under your command, Colonel, you stated very clearly that we would never find Negroes who could pass a pilot's exam, make it through flight school, survive basic combat. We've done all of that.
I don't believe your boys have scored a single aerial kill.
It's damn hard to shoot down the enemy 100 miles behind the front lines.
What we do, how well we do it, does it matter?
And you all thought what? You'd sign up and that'd be the end of 100 years of bigotry. Get your head up, son. You're fighter pilots.
We have a right to fight for our country, the same as every other American. We will not go away.
I can't afford the kind of losses my bomber's been suffering. Can you help save lives?
If you get us new planes, we can help your boys.
Nothing's difficult. Everything's a challenge. Through adversity to the stars. From the last plane to the last bullet to the last minute to the last man, we fight. We fight. We fight. We fight. We fight. We fight.
At all costs, you protect the heavies.
Fighters, 4 o'clock. Stay with the bombers.
One bomber, that's 10 men. We count our victories by the bombers we get to their targets. By the husbands we return to their wives. By the fathers we get back to their children.
Come on, Junior, fail!
A crew of African-American pilots in the Tuskegee training program, having faced segregation while kept mostly on the ground during World War II, are called into duty under the guidance of Colonel A.J. Bullard. Red Tails is rated PG-13. In limited release, we have Miss Bala, an action drama starring Stephanie Sigmund, Noe Hernandez, and Irene Ezuela. Miss Bala is a story of a young woman clinging onto her dream to become a beauty contest queen in Mexico dominated by organized crime. Miss Bala is rated R. And last on our list is Crazy Horse, a documentary starring Philippe Ducoufflet, Daisy Blue, and Philippe Carrin. Crazy Horse is a cinema verite look inside Paris's Crazy Horse, a club that boasts the greatest and most chic nude dancing in the world. Crazy Horse opens on January 18th in New York City and is not rated. Moving right along to January 17th's home entertainment slate, we kick off with Courageous, a drama starring Alex Kendrick, Ken Bevel, and Kevin Downs. When a tragedy strikes close to home, 4 police officers struggle with their faith and their roles as husbands and fathers, and together they make a decision that will change all of their lives. Courageous is rated PG-13. Next we have The Ides of March, a drama starring Paul Giamatti, George Clooney, and Philip Seymour Hoffman. An idealistic staffer for a newbie presidential candidate gets a crash course on dirty politics during a stint on the campaign trail. The Ides of March is rated R. Next on the list is Abduction, an action drama starring Taylor Lautner, Lily Collins, and Alfred Molina. Abduction is a thriller centered on a young man who sets out to uncover the truth about his life after finding his baby photo on a missing person's website. Abduction is rated PG-13. Next up we have Kevin Hart, Laugh at My Pain, a comedy documentary starring Kevin Hart and Niam Lynn. Funny man Kevin Hart is back and starring in the theatrical version of his 2011 Laugh at My Pain comedy tour that swept the nation and earned more than $15 million in ticket sales. Kevin Hart, Laugh at My Pain is rated R. Next we take a look at The Mysteries of Lisbon, a mystery drama starring Adriana Luz, Maria Hayo Bastos, and Ricardo Pereira. Mysteries of Lisbon follows a jealous countess, a wealthy businessman, and a young orphan boy across Portugal, France, Italy, and Brazil, where they connect with a variety of mysterious individuals. Mysteries of Lisbon is not rated. Next we have Red Line from 2009, an animated action film from Japan starring Takuya Kimura, Yu Oi, and Tandanobu Asano. Red Line is an action drama centered on a deadly racing tournament held every 5 years and the reckless daredevil driver who wants to win it. Red Line is not rated. And last on our list is Dirty Girl, a drama starring Judah Temple, Jeremy Dozier, and Mila Jovovich. It's 1987 and Danielle, the high school dirty girl, is running away. With her is chubby gay Clark and a bag of flour called Joan, and a Walkman full of glorious 80s tunes. Dirty Girl is rated R.
What if you found a portal to a parallel universe? What if you could slide into 1,000 different worlds where it's the same year and you're the same person, but everything else is different? And what if you can't find your way home?
Next we slide on into TV on DVD, starting with Sliders, the 5th and final season, starring Clevin Derricks and Carrie Wurr. For 4 thrilling seasons, they've explored the alternate realities beyond anyone's imaginations. They've seen double versions of their hometown, their families, and themselves, but nothing will prepare the Sliders for what lies ahead in all 18 episodes in the 5th and final season of this phenomenally popular sci-fi series. It's the last chance for the Sliders to answer the question that has haunted them from the beginning. Will they ever reach home?
Code
Next on our list, we go on patrol with Adam 12, Season 6, starring Kent McCord and Martin Milner. Created by Jack Webb as a spin-off of NBC's hit series Dragnet, Adam 12 Season 6 delivers more gritty tales from the case balls of 1970s Los Angeles. Officers Pete Malloy and Jim Reed return for another beat-blazing season of Jack Webb's police drama classic Adam 12, based on real police cases in and around the city of Los Angeles. Season 6 lands the officers in helicopters, on horseback, and on airport patrol in locations ranging from the foothills to Venice Beach. The boys in blue have their work cut out for them when they face teenage robbers, angry dogs, a drunken boat cook, bomb threats, armed carjackers, and more. Hopping across the pond to the BBC, we have Merlin, the complete third season, starring Colin Morgan and Bradley James. Merlin is back with even more magic, adventure, and romance as the young wizard struggles to protect Prince Arthur in the perilous world of Camelot. While battling deadly assassins, mystical monsters, and the most powerful sorcerers Camelot has ever seen, Merlin must work harder than ever to conceal his unique abilities while King Uther redoubles his war against magic. Featuring exciting new villains, white-knuckle stunt sequences, and spectacular CGI monsters, Merlin Season 3 is more thrilling than ever. And the last title on our list for TV on DVD keeps in the BBC with Waking the Dead, the complete Season 6, starring Will Johnson and Trevor Eve. Detective Peter Boyd is the leader of a multidisciplinary police team of detectives and scientists, the Cold Case Squad, which investigates old unsolved murder cases using modern methods and new technology that may not have been available during the original investigation. Next, we look at the titles coming to Netflix streaming for the week of January 15th to January 21st. On January 15th, we kick off with The Butterfly Effect 3, Revelations, a science fiction crime drama starring Chris Carmack, Rachel Miner, and Melissa Jones. A young man with the power to time travel attempts to solve the mystery of his girlfriend's death. The Butterfly Effect 3, Revelations is rated R. Next on our list is Somewhere from 2004, a romance film starring Brian LaBelle and Laura Mazur. Two American backpackers fall in love while traveling through Thailand and Malaysia. Neither have experienced true love and must decide whether to stay together or return to their separate lives back home. Somewhere is not rated. Next up is Easter Bunny Kill, a horror film starring Timothy Muscatel, Ricardo Gray, and Charlotte Marie. Remington, a murderous drifter, cons his way into a mother's heart, putting on a fatherly facade to her cherished son, Nicholas. But the second she leaves for work, a torrent of abuse rains upon the gentle boy. In the meantime, the only comfort the boy gets is in confiding in his new pet bunny. Debauchery is at hand, and Nicholas is nowhere to be found, but someone wearing the mask of a beloved holiday hopper shows up ready to deliver a blood-spattered night of unspeakable carnage. Easter Bunny Kill is not rated. Next up, we have Harlem Aria, a drama starring Damon Wayans, Gabriel Cassius, and Christian Camargo. Chasing his dream, Anton leaves his aunt's home in Harlem for downtown New York City, where a quick-witted street hustler named Wes cons him out of his life savings. Homeless and empty-handed, Matthew, a street musician stalled in his own dreams, invites Anton to perform with him in the park. The three men's lives entwine and lead each down a path of destruction, truth, and redemption. Harlem Aria is rated R. Next up, we get on The Road to Nowhere, a romantic thriller starring Shannon Sossman, Ty Runyon, and Cliff DeYoung. A young filmmaker gets wrapped up in a crime while shooting his new project on location. Road to Nowhere is rated R. Next, we take a look at The Adventures of Bailey, the Lost Puppy, a family film starring Rick Shue, Liz Frank, and Emily Stuhler. Bailey, an adorable golden retriever puppy, is moving. On the road trip to their new home, his family makes a stop and mistakenly leaves Bailey behind. This mischievous and playful pup sets out to find his family and stumbles across Sharkarosa, an exotic wildlife ranch. At the ranch, Bailey meets and is befriended by an assortment of animals, including kangaroos, camels, a bear cat, a baby tiger, and Puck, the sheepdog entrusted with running Sharkarosa. Will Bailey ever see his family again, or will he be left to work at the ranch until the cows come home? Adventures of Bailey the Lost Puppy is not rated. Next, we have The Legend of Pancho Barnes and the Happy Bottom Riding Club, a documentary starring Tom Skerritt, Kathy Bates, and Buzz Aldrin. In the 1920s and 30s, Pasadena society girl turned adventurer and aviator Florence Lowe Pancho Barnes was Hollywood's top woman stunt pilot. In the 1940s and 50s, she owned and operated the infamous Happy Bottom Riding Club, a fly-in resort located near Edwards Air Force Base. This film is a profile on her life. The Legend of Pancho Barnes and the Happy Bottom Riding Club is not rated. Next, we have Night Watch from 1997, a thriller starring Ewan McGregor, Nick Nolte, and Patricia Arquette. Ewan McGregor plays a law student who takes a job as a night watchman at a morgue. He begins to discover clues that implicate him as a suspect in a series of murders. Night Watch is rated R. Next on the list, we have Small Town Murder Songs, a crime thriller starring Jill Hennessy, Amy Rutherford, and Peter Stormare. Small Town Murder Songs is a modern gothic tale of crime and redemption about an aging police officer from a small Ontario Mennonite town who hides a violent past until a local murder upsets the calm of his newly reformed life. Small Town Murder Songs is rated R. And last for January 15th, we have Beneath Clouds, a romantic drama starring Danielle Hall, Damian Pitt, and Jenna Lee Connors. Lena is the light-skinned daughter of an Aboriginal mother and her Irish father. Vaughn is a Murray boy during time in a minimum security prison. Dramatic events throw them together on a journey with no money and no transport. To Lena, Vaughn represents the life she is running away from. To Vaughn, Lena embodies the society that has rejected him. And for a very short amount of time, they experience a rare, true happiness together. Beneath Clouds is not rated. Next on January 17th, we have Eat This New York, a documentary starring Daniel Boulud, Rocco DeSpirito, and Siria Mascioni. Two best friends from Minneapolis struggle to open a restaurant in the food capital of the world as the city's legendary chefs and restaurateurs reflect on their lives in the business. Eat This New York is unrated. Next we have The United Red Army, a drama starring Maki Sakai, Arata, and Aki Namiki. Told in 3 acts, this film chronicles the history and background of the United Red Army, a Japanese revolutionary armed guard. United Red Army is not rated. Next we have Chosen, a war documentary. After 60 years of silence, the survivors of the Chosen Reservoir campaign of the Korean War take us on an emotional and heart-pounding journey through one of the most savage battles in American history. Chosen is not rated. Next up is Special Treatment, a comedic drama starring Isabel Huppert, Bully Lanners, and Sabila Mossadegh. High-class prostitute Alice specializes in wealthy, eccentric clients and is in the throes of a midlife crisis when her services are engaged by prominent psychiatrist Javier, who's estranged from his wife and suffering his own existential malaise. While Alice seeks an analyst who can help her find direction, Javier tries to reconnect with his emotions, and the two unwittingly lead each other to their goals. Special Treatment is not rated. And January 18th rounds out with Fake, a crime drama starring Robert Loggia, Fisher Stevens, and Blanche Baker. Despite his talent, painter Daniel Jacor finds little success until he begins using his gifts to imitate great artists like Picasso and Degas. When his fakes start selling for huge sums, the web of corruption surrounding Daniel grows ever larger. Fake is not rated. January 19th has one title coming to the stream, Blackthorn, a western starring Sam Shepard, Eduardo Noriega, and Stephen Ray. In Bolivia, Butch Cassidy, now calling himself James Blackthorn, pines for one last sight of home, and eventually aligns him with a young robber who makes the duo a target for gangs and lawmen alike. Blackthorn is rated R. January 20th kicks off with Strigoi, a comedic drama starring Constantine Barbalescu, Camelia Maxim, and Caitlin Paraschiv. Director Faye Jackson goes directly to the heart of the Romanian vampire myth in this darkly comedic horror fest set and shot in a post-communist Romania, where old ways die hard, especially when it comes to dealing with the undead. When young Vlad's Western European education fails to land him in the easy life, he returns to his Romanian village only to find murder afoot, and a plague of vampires. Strigoi is not rated. Next up is Amigo, a war drama starring Joel Torre, Chris Cooper, and Garrett Dillahunt. Amigo is a fictional account of events during the Philippine-American War and is rated R. Next, it's Fourth and Goal, a sports documentary starring Philip Fulmer, Deone Mobley, and Gabriel Wilson. This engrossing documentary follows the bone-crushing, heart-wrenching journey of 6 student athletes working against all odds to make their dreams of playing in the National Football League a reality. Fourth and Goal is not rated. And last for the Netflix list this week is DMT, The Spirit Molecule, a documentary that explores the powerful psychedelic compound DMT, which is naturally produced in humans and scores of other species. Does it play a role in sustaining life, or beyond that, explaining human spirituality? DMT, The Spirit Molecule is not rated. While we're talking about Netflix, we have a list of things that are expiring this week. For the week of January 18th and January 24th, we start with Father of the Bride, Up Close and Personal, and Arthur 2 on the Rocks. On January 19th, we have Blade Runner, the theatrical cut, Greased Lightning, Hell to Eternity, Hellbound, The Illustrated Man, Marvin's Room, My Fuhrer, Night Moves, The Right Stuff, Sour Grapes, The Swarm, Them, Up the Academy, and VeggieTales, Silly Little Thing Called Love. January 20th signals the end for Meadow Woods and Nollywood Babylon. January 21st is The Associate, The Auteur, Cry Funny Happy, The Lost Coast, Melvin Goes to Dinner, Modify, Shades of Ray, Slacker, Southbounders, and Wild 7. January 22nd puts a stake in 1979's Dracula. January 23rd ends Crush and I Do and I Don't. And January 24th sees the end of Dead Calm. Now, last but not least on the home entertainment slate, we move on to Blu-rays from the past. And after last week's list, made up of mostly Universal films to honor their 100th anniversary, this one's a little less epic. It kicks off with Dead Poet Society from 1989, a drama film starring Robin Williams, Robert Sean Leonard, and Ethan Hawke. English professor John Keating inspires the students to a love of poetry and to seize the day. Dead Poet Society is rated PG. Celebrating its 25th anniversary, the next title is Good Morning Vietnam, a war drama starring Robin Williams, Forrest Whitaker, and Tung Tan Tran. An unorthodox and irreverent DJ begins to shake things up when he's assigned to the U.S. Armed Services radio station in Vietnam. Good Morning Vietnam is rated R. Just in time for Red Tail to hit theaters, we have The Tuskegee Airmen from 1995, a war drama starring Lawrence Fishburne, Alan Payne, and Malcolm Jamal Warner. The Tuskegee Airmen is a true story of how a group of African-American pilots overcame racist opposition to become one of the finest U.S. fighter groups in World War II. The Tuskegee Airmen is rated PG-13. Next we have A License to Drive from 1988, a comedy film starring Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, and Carol Kane. A teen decides to go for a night on the town with his friends, despite flunking his driver's test. License to Drive is rated PG-13. Next up is Dutch, a comedic drama from 1991 starring Ed O'Neill, Ethan Embry, and JoBeth Williams. To get to know his girlfriend's son, a man volunteers to pick him up from a prep school, only to learn that her son's not the nicest kid. Dutch is rated PG-13. Next up, we journey to the center of the Earth, an action-adventure film from 2008 starring Brendan Fraser, Josh Hutcherson, and Anita Breen. On a quest to find out what happened to his missing brother, a scientist, his nephew, and their mouse and guy discover a fantastic and dangerous lost world in the center of the Earth. Journey to the Center of the Earth is rated PG. Our next title is Project X, a sci-fi comedy from 1987 starring Matthew Broderick, Helen Hunt, and Willie the Chimp. A young inductee into the military is given the task of looking after some chimpanzees using the mysterious Project X. Getting to know the chimps fairly well, he begins to suspect there is more to the secret project than is being told. Project X is rated PG. And to round out our list, we have two titles coming to the Criterion Collection. The first is Traffic, a crime drama from 2000 starring Michael Douglas, Benicio del Toro, and Catherine Zeta-Jones. A conservative judge is appointed by the president to spearhead America's escalating war against drugs, only to discover that his teenage daughter is an addict. Traffic is rated R. And the last title on our list is Belle de Jour from 1967, a drama starring Catherine Deneuve, Jean Sorel, and Michael Piccoli. A frigid young housewife decides to spend her midweek afternoons as a prostitute. Belle de Jour is rated R. And last but not least, I have three items for you today in the Quick Flicks. Universal and Paramount are both celebrating their 100th anniversaries this year, and as a result, both are doing some rather big things. Paramount revamped their logo, which will stick around as the new face of the studio after 2012. Universal also released a new logo, which will see theaters starting on March 2nd in front of Dr. Seuss's The Lorax. But they've also decided to do much more. First, they are restoring 13 classic films this year. Those films are All Quiet on the Western Front, The Birds, Buck Privates, Dracula from 1931, Dracula the Spanish version from 1931, Frankenstein, Jaws, Schindler's List, Out of Africa, Pillow Talk, Bride of Frankenstein, The Sting, and To Kill a Mockingbird. The restorations will also hit Blu-ray throughout the year. The studio is also starting a massive internet and social media awareness campaign, including sharing archival content on Tumblr, exclusive across their various Facebook and Twitter pages, tips and content on Foursquare, and more. The central hub for the campaign is at universal100th.com, and that link will be in the show notes. As we saw in last week's Blu-ray titles, Universal is also introducing a limited edition 100th Anniversary Collector's Series, which will put many of their titles on Blu-ray for the very first time. 2012 is also the year for James Bond. Not only is Skyfall coming around November, but it's also the 50th anniversary of the franchise on film. As a result, MGM and Fox are teaming up to release the entire 22-film canon back catalog to Blu-ray in one massive set called Bond 50. This box will include all the films except 1967's Casino Royale and Never Say Never Again, along with 130 hours of bonus features. The suggested price tag is around $240, and more details will come later this year. And finally, the Lionsgate studio has finalized a deal to purchase Summit Entertainment for $402.5 million in cash and stock. That's not huge news in itself, but the fallout may be. Summit Summit Entertainment's big franchise right now is the Twilight series, which wraps up this fall. Lionsgate CEO John Feltheimer suggests that the series may continue in some form, either in film or television. Now, before you say, no way, remember that Lionsgate owns the Saw series, and we've seen how well that's gone. Quoting Feltheimer, "It's hard for me to imagine a movie that does $700 million plus doesn't have ongoing value. It's an amazing franchise that they've done a great job of maintaining with absolutely no deterioration. So the simple answer is, boy, I hope so." If you want to discuss anything you heard on this week's edition, please take a moment to get in touch. You can surf on over to chronicgrift.com and leave a note in the forums. Leave a voicemail at 888-866-9010 or write to John at chronicgrift.com. You can follow us on Tumblr, tweet us on Twitter, check into the network on GetGlue, watch the classics on Funny or Die, and leave us a review on iTunes. The Chronic Grift is on Stitcher Radio, and you can also find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Grift on Facebook and Google+. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment at Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make through the store supports the Chronic Grift. Look for the link in our show notes. The Weekly Podioplex is a collaboration of Critic Criticality and Lucky Shot Productions and is produced by John S. Drew. This is Michael Falkner. Thanks for listening. I'll see you at the theater.
That's a wrap.